So having a sense of abundance allows you peace of mind because you know what's out there for you is unlimited.
Paul, how does having gratitude play into the idea of abundance?
Really, gratitude's the flip side of the other coin because the two go hand in hand, really. Because something good happens to you, if you have gratitude for it, then more good will come to you. And
right.
You have gratitude. They're the same, on the same coin, doing the same thing, and you manifest them in very similar ways.
Yeah. Also, wouldn't you say that if you are grateful for what you have, then you're abundant because you have everything you need. Whereas if you think about what you don't have, then you have what's called scarcity mindset, which is I don't have enough, there's never enough.
Which is finite. It's one apple pie. There's only so many slices in that apple pie.
Right, gotta get my slice of the pie.
Gotta get it in. It's dog eat dog. So that's scarcity model. And so, I step on other people to get whatever I can get. Right. And that's not an abundant way to live.
Right.
So that's focusing on what you don't have and not focusing on what you do have. And when you focus on what you do have, even in small ways, Jack, even like, and it generally happens mostly this way for people, but when you are conscious of these opportunities where someone buys you a cup of coffee, you bought me a cup of coffee today, that is abundance. I found a parking spot, that is abundance. It's also gratitude, but there is meter time left on my parking spot when I pulled in. That is abundance, okay? So
there's always stuff out there for me.
There's always stuff out there.
There's out there, and there's it's like you said earlier, it's limitless.
And the more times that you recognize the abundance, the more things that will come to you because you're shifting and pivoting your mindset and recognizing these things that have come to you.
Yeah, and I think what happens is people, because if they do have that scarcity mindset, there's limitations. There's, as you said, a finite number of things out there in the world. And if we see that the world has endless opportunities, it just makes things easier, doesn't it? Because now all of a sudden, there's so many things that you can get from life if you see it that way.
It'll lead to bigger things. Bigger things will happen for you. More, you get a better job. You have a bigger year in business, whatever it might be. Those things will start to happen. They may not happen on your time frame. Yeah. It may not happen, next week, next month, next year, but they will happen. Yeah. And you'll be happier.
Yeah.
You'll have this more relaxed sense of being with your life. It's not like, why didn't I get this now? And God, I thought I had a better year. Geez, I'm number 5 on the rankings of the sales team, or should have been 2 or 3. That was my goal and I didn't get it. You just get stressed out. Just focus on those things that you do receive because they are there.
Yeah.
Sun comes up.
Yeah.
Sun comes up. That's abundance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. When we're kids, we're taught to share, but then as some people become adults, they want to hoard everything for themselves, right? It's all of a sudden that idea of abundance goes away and the idea of scarcity comes in. It's like, wait a minute, if I give up a little piece of my pie, that means I might not have some tomorrow. And then, that creates fear, and that fear just manifests itself into just, fear, a lot of negative behavior.
Anxiety, fear, anger, unhappiness.
Right.
So when you see someone that's really uber successful and they've had, even not uber, they just, in your mind, they've done really well, okay? Mm-hmm. They have a house and you don't have a house. They're in a nice apartment and you're not in a nice apartment. They have a nice car that you would love to have, but you don't have it. Just be thankful that they have that. Be thankful for them that they have it. Right. Because what does that mean? That means, oh, well, they have it, so it is possible to have.
Right.
So it can come into my sphere, it can happen to me, into my world. So have gratitude for that. A lot of people, they get all the luck, and how come that happened to them and didn't happen to me? I deserve it. I'm a nicer person than they are. And
right.
No. Abundance is everywhere. Recognize that. For those people that have had that quote unquote financial success, let's say,
right.
Be thankful. Have gratitude for them for what they have, and recognize and thank them. Hey, congratulations.
Right.
Great job. They sold their business. They made a lot of money. I'm really happy for you. And that's just good messaging for you.
Yeah. Yeah, if you think about it from that perspective, there's people in our lives who we know when something good happens to us are genuinely happy for us. We have such a fondness and appreciation for that human being that they genuinely support us and love us and want good things to happen to us. Because we also know that there's people in our lives, they might be our friends, but they're kind of quietly maybe rooting against us sometimes. You know, like, I don't want that guy to get too big for his britches, right? So it's this idea of not, instead of, to your point, instead of being jealous of other people's success, you should be celebrating it and being happy for them.
Yeah, you know, what interesting, when I got in the commercial real estate space, I took a job with a company, and it was never going to be my end-all job in that business within the commercial real estate space, and it's turned out to be like a phenomenal career.
Right.
A phenomenal career for me. It was always going to be a stepping stone. What's next? What's next? Always going to be this and this. And I never, ever realized I'd be in that space for over 20 years.
Right.
Never.
Right.
But here I am, and it's been a fantastic career. It's been a fantastic life. It's allowed me many things that I've had in my life. So stop thinking about what's next. What's next? What's next? And be more in the space of, hey, look, I've got a great wife or husband. I've got 2 fantastic kids. I live in a phenomenal area. I'm doing something in my life from a vocation perspective that I love to do. I have a community that supports me. I mean, what could be better than that?
Yeah. Yeah.
What could be better than that?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying you don't always are striving for a goal and this is the direction I want to head and all that. We do that. I'm just saying, stop obsessing over it.
Yeah. And, you know, another way of looking at this is sometimes it's a competition, right? We're both fighting for the same thing and we want it. But also it's sometimes we already have something and we don't want to give it up, right? We don't want to give to charity. We don't want it because we got to hold it because we're afraid. That's that scarcity mindset. We might not have it tomorrow. And that could be not only in a financial way, it could be in any way. And I think there's a great sports story that applies to it. It's Alex Smith, who was a quarterback, just retired for the Washington Football Club. When he was at the San Francisco 49ers, he was struggling for a few years. Finally had a great season and was on the way to the playoffs, on the way to the Super Bowl. All these great things were happening, and then he gets hurt in the middle of the year. And Colin Kaepernick comes in and he's his sub. And so now Alex Smith has 2 choices. He can either just go and take care of himself and leave the team alone, or he can be a great teammate and help Cap do what he needs to do to be a quarterback.
Because Kaepernick was playing well.
Yeah. Well, what happened was Kaepernick was playing well, and his greatest coach, according to Harbaugh, who was the team coach, was Alex Smith. So Alex Smith coached Kaepernick up. He coached his competition up. And you have to understand this in the perspective of an NFL quarterback. You obviously do. There's only so many positions. It is a finite number of positions
Totally
in
finite,
the NFL.
totally finite.
And so, but if you view it that way, the reaction will be, well, I can't help this guy out. We're competing for the same job. But that's not what Smith did. What Alex did was he coached Kaepernick up. The team ends up making the Super Bowl that year. And a lot of credit went to Smith. So now you go, all right, it's time to move on. They trade him to the Chiefs, and now he's the guy at the Chiefs. So he gets a little bit of a reward for that. And for the first time in a bunch of years, the Chiefs make the playoffs as he's the quarterback. And I think 3 out of 4 years make the playoffs. So he's doing great. But what do the Chiefs do? They decide to draft a guy named Patrick Mahomes. And here we go again. There's another guy that's about to replace Alex. And he does the exact same thing again. For 1 year, Mahomes is the backup, he's the starter, and he takes Mahomes under his wing, teaches him everything. And Mahomes credits him for being the quarterback he is, among other things, obviously, for that tutelage he gave him. And the idea, again, would be, well, gosh, there's just so many positions out there, I can't do this, but he did. Mm-hmm. And what does he get rewarded with later? He gets a $95 million contract with Washington. So he had that abundance mindset. He wasn't holding that position for himself. He was free with his coaching and with his help, and it all turned out great for him.
There's more to the story, which we'll get to, but I can't tell you how evolved that is.
Yeah.
Because as someone who played in the league, there is that sense of competition, and there's only one guy that gets to be on the field.
Right.
only one guy that gets to be on the field.
Right.
And you're there to play. You're not there to carry a clipboard.
No.
You know, and Alex had experienced that, had to take a back seat, and to support the other guy, knowing that if this other guy continues to perform, he's on his way out.
Right.
There's a guy that believes in abundance,
Right.
sees an abundant life, knows that something better is around the corner for him, which it was at Kansas City. And after that stage in his life, there was something even better around the corner at Washington, the Washington Football Club, with a massive contract that happened until something happened.
Yeah. And so during one of his games, I think it was in his first season, he had one of the most gruesome leg breaks you will ever see. And he actually almost died in the hospital from the infection that his multiple fracture caused. And it didn't look like he would they were talking about amputating his leg. Yeah. And he
might not survive it. Might not
have
survived.
died, or if and the way to save his life would have been to amputate. And fortunately for him, it turned around, and he survived, and he didn't need to amputate. But at this point, it was like football. Forget that. You know, it was over. But he little by little got himself back into a place where he started working out. Went to a center down in San Antonio that treat military personnel, and got himself rehabbed. And his perspective was always that he already had everything in life that he needed. He had a wife, children, they were happy, he could run around, play with his kids again. So if he never saw the football field, it'd be fine. Because
But it took, how many surgeries did it take to get to that place?
I don't know the number, but it was a dozen or more probably. I think it was like a number of surgeries, a number of physical therapy, daily, all that work. But through the whole perspective of it, he never looked at it as a limiting thing. He saw his life as abundant. And what I mean by that is his abundance was his wife. It was his children. It was the fact that he could play with them again. And he pulled off
smaller, simpler things in life
that we all have.
Yes,
not all of us play. You played in the NFL. I didn't. But we all have
that
those
away. When you almost take all of that away,
right,
then you really know what's really important.
Right. And that's when you start seeing as life as big as it can be, sometimes as big as it can be, is in the little things that we take for granted.
Yes.
And so anyways, the capper on the story is he didn't make it back to the NFL. And it is honestly one of the greatest sports stories you will ever hear. What this man went through to get back to the NFL. And the beauty of it was he was so accepting of his place when he didn't think he was going to come back, and he was going to give it a shot. He was going to let it rip, and he knew that if he made it, great, but if he didn't, life was great anyways.
And he made it.
And he made it.
He made it. And he got back in the field and performed well. And then eventually retired.
Right.
It's a great story, Jack. Alex Smith, how can you not have the utmost respect in so many different ways for this guy? Beyond the fact that he was an outstanding quarterback in the NFL for many, many years. This is the guy that, you want to listen to.
Yeah.
With what he had gone through and him coming through the other side.
Right.
And how he conducted himself at every stage.
Of his career.
Speaks volumes about the character, the integrity, the kind of person that Alex Smith is, and he's a role model, no doubt.
100%, and he has so much power now because of everything he went through and how he conducted himself, that this is a guy that we all can and should follow the rest of his life. Just because he's not playing football anymore doesn't mean he doesn't have great things to offer to this world. The way he conducted himself shows that he has so much to offer.
The best is yet to come for him.
I'll bet you're right.
Yeah, the best is yet to come.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
This is the part where we're supposed to tell people to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Okay, will you please do that then? I mean, if you enjoy it, please do.
And if you don't, do it anyways, because we need your help.
We do.
Also, we have a website called GameChangeNation.com. Just go there and subscribe and you'll get tons of free content.
And what we're really trying to do is create a community of people that love sports.
Yep.
And the great lessons that we learn from sports, but we want to hear from you.
We do. So we're going to have a bunch of social media pages from TikTok to Instagram to Twitter to Facebook. Instagram, I probably already said all of them. Please join them and tell us your stories. We'd love to hear from you. Oh, and we wrote a book.
Oh,
Forgot about that.
Forgot that.
The book is called Through the Tunnel. It's available on Amazon now. If you go straight down here to this link that you can see below us, you will be able to purchase it. We'd love it if you could do it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.